Ladies and gentlemen, Roster Watch Nation, welcome back to the epic Roster Watch podcast brought to you by RosterWatch.com. I'm Alex Dunlap here with the Trashman and Cody Carpentier as we are going to be talking to you about 7 must-draft late-round best ball values on Underdog Fantasy. It might be more than 7 because I have 3. I don't know. Maybe Trashman doesn't have many. I don't know. But we have the best ball cheat sheet that's been updated now to version 2.0 over on the site, constantly testing that thing. And, we have actually, if you look at the ADP data from the Eliminator contest, did that thing already fill up? It looks like that thing's already done. But we do have the ADP data from that one that just started after the draft, so no trailing data from before the draft. So we have, it's probably a better source for looking at these ADPs. And of course, the cheat sheets for our pro members at rosterwatch.com will always be leverage versus ADP. We'll have our distinct focus on the dynasty rookie cheat sheet throughout the course of the spring and summertime. And usually for the best ball cheat sheet, we keep running that thing until we get into the true heart of redraft season when all of our resources need to go towards the redraft cheat sheet. So right now we're firing into best ball. Boys, how are you doing today?
Doing just fine.
All right, so Trashman's fine. Cody says things are going good. I'll start out here with my first one because I know that this is one that Cody will like, and this isn't so much, this isn't so much of a stats-based take as it is just sort of a feel kind of take. But man, let me just get the ADP, the exact ADP pulled up here. And as far as these quarterbacks, I find myself when I look at the exposures I've gotten over these tests, Cody, you'll be happy to learn that, man, I've gotten a whole lot of Will Levis. Quarterback 24, ADP of 176.6. This has to do with a couple of different things. One, I love what they're rebuilding the offensive line. They've clearly done a whole lot to buttress the situation around him, right? You got Ridley. What did they sign? Did they sign Tyler Boyd today?
Yeah.
They've just started Tyler Boyd.
Yeah.
They
the buttressing act.
Yeah, and here's the other thing. I mean, D-Hop is still there. The other thing is, I'm still not sure about this pass defense. And you see what's happening in the AFC South with some of these other teams. If they really get up and going, Trevor Lawrence takes the next step. Anthony Richardson takes the next step. CJ Stroud continues to be doing what he's doing. They could be put in situations where they're going to have to go a lot less run heavy. Levis showed moments last year that were awesome. That made me really say Cody's, all Cody's love for him pre-draft. Like, this is what Cody was seeing, right? Was this sort of upside from Will Levis. He looked like a kind of guy that could become, somewhat of a kingmaker. And if they're in game scripts where there's no more Derrick Henry, they have these running backs like Pollard and like Tyjae Spears, who look to me as if they're not going to be building something where they're going to be pounding the rock just over.
They don't have a power runner.
Yeah, and so that should help Levis too, having those outlets. We know that Tyjae Spears from the Senior Bowl was just awesome as a pass catcher. We've seen Pollard used in those kinds of roles before when he was used in sort of a better role and more of a 1B whenever Zeke was still around. So it's man, for me it's Levis a quarterback. I mean, are you telling me he's the worst quarterback too that you can pick? Like, no. This is a young quarterback with a golden arm, a great situation, a better offensive line. Callahan comes in there. He's worked with Burrow. His offensive coordinator, what's his name? Is it Nick Holtz? Cody, you probably know better. I know that. Yeah, I think it's Nick Holtz.
Yeah, I think it's more of a bronze arm.
And no, dude, he's got a golden. He's got a golden arm as far as his just pure arm talent does. Will
well, he's got the strength.
Holtz, if you looked at him, he's worked with. I mean, that guy's worked with Andrew Luck last year, passing game coordinator for the division rival. He's with the Jags last year, so worked with Trevor Lawrence. But really, it's the Callahan influence here. The Joe, it's just to me it makes
move on.
To me, it makes just a whole lot of sense.
Trashman is not a fan of Will Levis. He's not a fan of Tennessee going and getting three 3 good, route running receivers. He's not a fan of a brand new left tackle. He's not a fan of a brand new left guard last year. He's not a fan of, brand new running backs, brand new defense, brand new
first
cornerback.
round, like top 10 level, like left side of the offensive line.
I'm just going to be honest with you, Alex.
I feel like the Titans have been squandering talent since.
Dude, we're talking about a quarterback too, an underdog, and you could stack it easily with Ridley, who keeps falling.
No, I don't hate Levis where he is at all. That's not what I'm saying.
You got Callahan with the Burrow stuff. It's like, there's a whole lot.
This build, since Rand Carthen took over, has went in a completely different direction than obviously what John Robinson was building when it was run centric and he was just getting complacent with that build. I've been impressed. They've slowly been answering the offensive line questions, but the entire rest of the roster, I think they've done a good job building this thing together. There's no better situation now. When Levis got drafted, I said Tennessee was the worst spot for him to go because we did not. That was 2 drafts ago, before the last draft, right? So, but now you can argue it's the second best possible spot he could have went to outside of Houston. And I don't. If he fails now, it's because he sucks, and I'll own that. But this is exactly what you're asking for in year 2 for this guy to take a step forward with protection, with Boyd, Ridley, and Hopkins. I know they're all not exactly 22 years old and spry, but this is a great situation with no Derek. I mean, I love it. So
QB 24. One thing they got going is that they don't have a power running game, and they're going to have to throw that ball.
I think, dude, they added Tavondre Sweat they added Tavondre Sweat. They got him and Jeffrey Simmons up front. They're gonna
Harold Landry.
Teams are gonna have to throw on them, and teams are gonna have to throw on them. And you're gonna have to be in a game script to be throwing back against these. I mean, it's CJ Stroud and Lawrence and stuff. Like, who knows if Anthony Richardson? I mean, I know that there are probably concerns about him being a traditional drop back quarterback, and having the growth a little bit. A little bit. I'd say a lot. What I guess kind of put off into the future from last year with having to. Maybe get in only 2.5, 3.5 total games. So, but I think the AFC South is going to be better. They're going to have to keep up. The offensive line's better. They're going to be able to hold up better. They're not going to be able to run the same way. I mean, and Levis is good. So, give me Will Levis as quarterback 24. I mean, who are the quarterbacks to go ahead? The quarterbacks to go ahead of him are guys like. So you're telling me you want Geno Smith over him, or Baker, or Deshaun Watson? Because here's the thing with those guys. Maybe with Baker, he has some relatively. Maybe Godwin is a relatively easy stack partner. Evans is getting a pretty expensive. Ridley to me seems like he's falling farther than all the rest of these dudes. And
sight unseen, I would rather this guy. I mean, just like I'd rather the devil that I know.
You rather have the devil that you trash, man. That's not the way that goes. You're supposed to go with the devil that you don't know over the devil that you know. Trash, man.
Why?
Okay. Well,
I would go Levis all the way up to.
Works. We spent way too much time talking about Will Levis.
I take Will Levis all the way up to Jaden Daniels. I wouldn't take him over Daniels right now. I take him ahead of Trevor Lawrence. I think Goff deserves to be ahead of Trevor Lawrence as well. I'd take him all the way up to QB 15. I wouldn't take him there right now, but I'm saying I would draft him.
I think Goff should be ahead of Lawrence, and Daniels should be ahead of Goff.
Yeah,
I mean,
Daniels is ahead.
It feels weird. So trash, man. So you'd rather take Justin Herbert throwing to like Bupkis, DJ Chark, Josh Palmer, Quentin Johnston, and
you do not want Justin. No.
Oh, I mean, over Will Levis.
Yeah. Levis. Because Herbert's going 121 right now, and Levis is going 176. Do you think that there really should be 55 spots of ADP between?
I don't know that there should be 55 spots, but
so it's a value.
But I'm taking a
contrarian trash man. What else would you expect? It's not a value. Of course, it's a value.
It's a value.
I can't wait, dude. There was a guy asking in the comments about the robot genius the other day. I can't wait to bring him back this year, just to lay into trash man on the radio show. Now that he's a adolescent, now's the time that he's gonna strike back against trash man's horrible takes.
Strike back.
Who's up next?
I'll go receiver.
Being a robot genius or simpatico.
I'm not sure about that. We'll see. I think he's grown up a lot ever since he got shipped off to the banana.
See, and the thing is, you're not even listening to what I'm saying. I said it was a value.
Yeah, this is a value.
I'm just saying I'd probably take Herbert over him.
Yeah.
It's not.
I don't know about all that. I don't know about that.
It's not a crazy take.
We're getting some regression on Herbert. I'm gonna go Roman Wilson here from Pittsburgh. Wide receiver 72 right now. ADP's 158. He's going after a lot of guys he shouldn't be. Darnell Mooney, Michael Wilson, Xavier Legette, Josh Downs, Brandon Cooks. I think he could be going up 30, 40 spots higher at ADP than he is right now. It's where he should be going, I should say. When you look at what Pittsburgh's got, of course, you're probably going to get a little bit of a regression from passing because Arthur Smith is there. The offensive line is built up. The bet is on Russell being the quarterback all year. If Fields comes in, you're going to get hurt a little bit here, I think, with Roman and Pickens for that matter, and probably Freiermuth. But I'm betting on Russell coming in and continuing from his late season surge with Denver last year. We get 130 vacated targets between Deontay Johnson and Allen Robinson. I don't think Roman takes all of that, but I do see Roman getting that 80, 90, 100 area in targets and cresting right in here as a easy day one wide receiver 2 next to George Pickens, going far too low in these drafts, about 25, 30 spots to wide receiver position too low.
And he dodged the Tyler Boyd bullet, right? There was so much talk about him going back to his hometown. You know, he's from Pittsburgh, and there was talk about him coming back because Deontay Johnson had vacated the slot and stuff. They say, no way, man. Roman Wilson. So I like it. I don't know what to make of the Steelers, man. It's going to be. Did you hear what they said about putting Justin Fields on kickoff return or to what? Like they're talking about using him on special teams and stuff. Like it's cool. It's crazy. Trashman, who do you got?
I mean, it's Zeke Elliott for me.
You know what, man? Like I was going to have to put him on my list too. So I think that let me look. I think you might have taken one of mine though. Like I think Zeke is. It feels bad to take him in the 10th, 11th round, but like he's going to provide value, even though you got to hold.
But Trashman, what about Royce Freeman?
Well, if Zeke wasn't there, it would be Royce Freeman. But Zeke usurped him, you know, and came back home.
It would have been Rico Dowdle over what? Dude, Royce Freeman stinks.
Do we got to get Byron a link on here? Does Byron need to jump on here? Because I know we can add a fourth name into this conversation.
No, God.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because it's Zeke.
It doesn't matter because it's Zeke. That's the quote right there.
Yeah, well, we've seen Zeke's yards per carry.
His yard per carry sucks. It went down this past season again, but his yards after contact, it's remained basically the same. It's gone down a little bit, slightly, but it's still over 2.5.
I don't know what it is. I mean, he looks totally dusted, but I mean, there were times when in New England last year where you're like, dude, they're running the Zeke Elliott offense, you know, like it's like, man, they're giving this dude all this volume. If you had him in dynasty and stuff, I mean, you kind of had to play him sometimes as your running back, you know, flex.
He's going to be a primary cog on one of the most prolific offenses in the league.
And it's been the plan the whole time.
Yeah.
They didn't even take one of these. They didn't even take like an Isaiah Davis or one of these super, super late dudes. They didn't go, you know what I mean? They didn't even mess with it. They didn't even look at it. Once do you know what the plan was? Jonathan Brooks or Zeke Elliott. And Zeke, we'll let you know after the draft. But Jerry had to go flap his gums about after the day one, whenever he should be talking about, you know, he should be talking about what his thoughts about how the first round shook out. He starts talking about how Jonathan Brooks was the best interview he's ever had. Steven looks over. He's like, man, he's still.
I mean, I don't know if the Panthers are looking to swindle the Cowboys, though. I mean, like.
Well, I don't know either, but he's certainly. I mean, dude, I've always loved Jerry and given him the benefit of the doubt. I think, and I know it feels like the most lukewarm take ever to say this, because I've always kind of defended him. I think now he's kind of getting a little too old. You can't
just
say
now.
Yeah, well, like I said, I've kind of stood up for the guy. It's like, come on, dude. He wasted his shot on Jay Brooks because of that idiotic press conference. All right, but Zeke, I completely agree with me. Like if I put the over under at 7.5 touchdowns next year, regular season, you're gonna probably take the over, aren't you?
Yeah.
So
double digits.
That's sort of what you're banking on. Okay, back to me. It's more of just kind of this whole rushing touchdown thing and kind of cockamamie situation here. So I don't know what to do with Nick Chubb. We're not taking Nick Chubb at all in our early these early best ball drafts as far as where his current ADP is, which is sitting now at, has it come down a little bit? Let's see. So
Well,
right
if you're
now,
not taking Nick Chubb, then who are you taking in the Cleveland backfield? I mean,
well,
it's
that's where I'm going with this, trash man. But I want to make sure and load it up here correctly. So Nick Chubb right now is going as RB, right at RB 30. So right at pick 100. So golly, maybe like that's a big difference. But so on the 2024 season slate, what is he going at with all the trailing data? So still on the NFL. So maybe they have it over there. They have it at about 102. Okay, so when you look at Deontay Foreman, though, you have Deontay going at 213.6, RB 69. You have Jerome Ford going at 137.7, RB 42. I know that Nick Chubb sent out the tweet the other day, or the Instagram post the other day, about a Batman meme wherever he was like the Batman was like laying down, then he gets up on a knee, then he's like stands right up and stuff. You're like, oh, look, Nick Chubb's back. Whatever. That Andrew Berry was on some podcast. They were asking about him. He said, he's looking great. He's coming along good, but he still has a long way to go. That injury, I believe, was week 2. Like it was early last season. I have to go back. It was week 2. I'm 99% sure it was week 2. Cody, maybe you could look that up for me?
That seems early for me.
If you remember. I think it was, man. Let me just look it up. I don't want to have it
Week
wrong.
2 versus Steelers.
Yeah, okay. So Nick Chubb, week 2 injury. I'm not sure that thing's – we've seen these guys, man, when they come back their first year off ACL. He could be activated.
If it was just ACL, it'd be different too. He didn't just do ACL. Remember this. It was
what all was it?
It was the whole shebang. It was the whole knee,
ACL, MCL.
Yeah, meniscus.
Oh, yeah. Thing. So he got the combo platter. Poor Nick Chubb. Okay, and he's not old, but he's getting a little bit up there in age. Man, they're gonna have to nurse him back to health, and it could be that once he gets back, it dilutes everything. But man, all they brought in was Nyheim Hines, Deontay Foreman, and Jerome Ford. I mean, I think Jerome Ford kind of the fact that they didn't really do much in the draft as far as getting this stuff going, right? I think that's definitely interesting, and then. With Deontay, I know that he had all kinds of stuff he had stuff with the Bears, right? And the Bear, he would be an active scratch and all this stuff, healthy scratch and all this stuff like that. I'm not sure exactly what it was, but you can't deny that in the games when he was in there and actually getting volume, he still looked kind of good.
I think he's Cleveland's best back if Chubb isn't there.
Well, I'm saying, like, what have you really seen out of Jerome Ford to make you think that Jerome Ford is really that good? But I do think Jerome Ford is a value. In like round 12, and I do think for your last couple picks, dude, Deontay last year, even with everything going on, it just did fantasy points per game. The games where he wasn't a healthy scratch, he was an RB3 in half point PPR. You can get him as your RB. You can do a 5-6 man RB build in Underdog and get him as your last one. You told me he won't spike for a week or two. That's still a good offensive line. It could be a better offense. Last year, Cleveland had 518 rushing attempts. I know that they were 4th in the league as far as rushing attempts. It isn't like there's any kind of new anything new coming in. It's not like it wasn't like you say like, well, without Nick Chubb, they're not going to be doing that again this year. They all last year was without Nick Chubb. So the Cleveland backfield, both those guys represent values. But I think if I have to choose one, I'd be more interested in Deontay with like my last pick.
Deontay, I'm gonna go running back over the other two for sure.
Yeah, Cody's up.
I'm gonna go running back here. I'm gonna stay there as you were, and I'm gonna go down to running back 46 right now. ADP of 154. That's Ty Chandler. Haven't been in on the last couple of years. I think he's been steamed up.
Really? Ty
Listen. He's been a trap the last few years. This is the year.
Aaron Jones to deal with.
No, I don't give a damn. I don't give a damn because there's 218 vacated carries in this offense. Aaron Jones has only crested 218 carries once. That was back in 2019. Aaron Jones is not going to come in here and be a 220, 240 carry guy. In that backfield of Minnesota last year, they only ran the ball 393 times. They threw it 630. Do you think Sam Darnold and J.J. McCarthy are going to throw the ball 630 times this year? I do not. I think this is going to be more run-centric, more play action to get Sam Darnold, to get J.J. McCarthy opportunities to succeed, because that's what Kevin O'Connell does. Ty Chandler had 102 carries last year, 461 yards, 3 rushing touchdowns, 3 more rushing touchdowns than Alexander Mattison had last year on 78 less carries. And in the receiving game, he had 25 targets. I expect the targets to go up. I expect the carries to go up, and expect Chandler to finish somewhere in that 140 to 170 total touch area. And as he's coming off right now an Underdog, running back 45, pick 151, about the 12th, 13th round, which is last year where we were drafting Roshan and Kendre.
Ty Kevius.
I will take Tykevius. And I haven't been on Tykevius the last few years. This is one of those ones where you stay away. And now it's pretty clear. Like, are we really going to put all our eggs in this one Aaron Jones 30-year-old basket in this offense with these quarterbacks? The writing's on the wall. If you really look where the Vikings painted, they trust Ty Chandler. They didn't draft anybody. They didn't bring anybody in. They didn't bring in a 225-pounder. Dwayne McBride is a walking toad, and Kene Nwangu was not the answer. So Ty Chandler's going to get carries. He's going to get plenty of opportunities. He's going to pay off here, especially on Underdog.
The walking toad. I forgot he's even on. Where do you go? UAB? Is that where he's from?
Alabama, Birmingham.
All right. Yeah. Well, Trashman stole my Ezekiel Elliott. When I was going to go Zeke, I was going to go with Cleveland running backs.
Well, it's my turn now.
Yeah. No. I mean, you could take us out. What do you got?
I was going to go with another running back. Well, I had 2 more, but I'll go.
All right. Well, why don't you give them both?
Yeah, because then that gives us 7.
Eric Gray. Okay. New York Giants.
Eric Gray? Turn off the. What kind of? Does he even have an ADP? Does he even have Trashman? What is wrong with you, Eric Gray? My God! I guess he has an ADP 250.
Soft life better.
Gray. He's running back 79.
Trashman. Wow.
Who's in front of him? Who's in front of him? Devin Singletary?
Yeah. Well,
Devin Singletary's the one guy in front of him.
Tracy Jr. Eric Gray.
Eric Gray has a year. Eric Gray has ever touched. Eric Gray has a year on Tyrone Tracy. He's got a year of experience, but he's only 20 days older than him. You know, I think he's got the inside track over Tracy. You're already. Yeah, absolutely. With only Devin Singletary in front of him.
I'm not sure we're gonna be able to have anything better than that take, but we're gonna be able to get to one more Trash Man. That'll take us to 7, and we'll give the people what they want.
Well, that's Xavier Worthy.
Oh, okay. Well, that's a much better take. Much better take.
It's not as trashy.
Nothing could be as trashy as Eric Gray.
You'll see.
There's not. You'll see what that it could be as trashy as. I'm just looking here, Trav. Let's see who's around Eric Gray at his current ADP. Let's see.
Every code in the farm.
Hey, that's value.
215.
I think he's running back 79, 80.
Yeah, he's only a couple spots away from Dalvin Cook.
Scrolling down, where even is Eric Gray?
Tyler Goodson, Deuce Vaughn, Samaje Perine ahead of him.
Abanikanda, you can. All right. Trash man. Gun to your head. You gotta pick one of these guys. Eric Gray or Frank Gore Jr., undrafted free agent, Buffalo Bills.
I'll go. I got to give me some Frank Gore Jr.
Well, so then why did you make Frank Gore Jr. your last round pick, Trash man? You affected everybody's mind with Eric Gray.
Eric Gray's a lot more exciting to say.
It might be exciting to say. Frank Gore Jr. is much more exciting to say. You are rotting the minds of Roster Watch Nation with this cockamamie.
Eric Gray is a perfect sleeper.